It was quite an eventful Saturday, 7th March 2020, in the country called Kenya. And of course, all the focus of the nation was in Nakuru County, at a place called Solai, where the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya made a speech that has left many Kenyans in total confusion. And we will come to that speech shortly. Of course, all this was happening, as Sergeant Arnold Kipyegon Kenei was laid to rest with full police honors, including a 21 gun salute. And there were two other highlights of the day that I want us to quickly cover. The heart-wrenching eulogy of the widow, wife, official wife-to-be, but current wife, because they're going to make their marriage official in August this year. You would have to be abnormal, not normal, not to shed a tear, as Kenei's wife read a simple eulogy, but full, pregnant with meaning. And she totally broke down when she reached the place where she was trying to say, may justice for her late Kenei prevail. This point was emphasized in the other highlight of the day, when Kenei's father said, may the crocodile tears of our enemies be turned into real tears. I don't think Mzee Chesang, the father of Kenei, meant that his son's killers were actually at the funeral. I think what he meant is that since the whole nation would be reached through the media, etc., etc., those people who did this very wicked thing, there was a huge chance that they would watch. And so the grieving father was addressing them. And he also spoke a curse upon them, that they will have no peace, zero peace, and that the blood of his son would not go in vain. Folks, it seems we are back to August 2017, when both the grieving mother and the grieving widow of Chris Msando, the ABC computer guru, both spoke very similar words to what was spoken in Solai yesterday. Now, believe what you want to believe, but please don't be blind. Don't fail to see, and yet you have eyes, including eyes of the Spirit. Because since August 2017, the people we suspect were responsible for the murder of Chris Msando have had absolutely no peace. The Jubilee political party, which benefited the most from the death of Chris Msando, the once very mighty Jubilee Party, is in tatters. So that today, when any politician speaks and says the Jubilee Party will do this and that, the first question that comes to the mind of any Kenyan is which Jubilee Party? Which faction of the Jubilee Party? The one led by the president or the one led by the deputy president? And even the BBI initiative, in my opinion, a very noble initiative, which should have seamlessly sailed through, is now shaky. And the truth is, it's not quite clear why it is shaky. Oh yes, those who murdered Msando have had zero peace. Nothing absolutely nothing they touch seems to work. There is something you need to urgently know if you didn't know already, and that is the curse of the murderer. If your hands are stained with innocent blood, not stained with blood from a war situation where you're a soldier, but stained by innocent human blood, then the curse will follow all the generations that follow you until the end of time. I'm sure you know people who are brilliant and they have all the resources and all the opportunity, but they just keep wandering around aimlessly and they end up achieving zero. If you did some research into their lineage, you would most probably find that their great-grandfather or somebody before them, whether they were caught or not, shed innocent blood. My friends, the blood of a human being is not the blood of a cow or an animal. Even if the bereaved don't speak any words, we read in the good book that the blood of the innocent cries out to the Lord from the ground, from where it is buried. Reread the story of Cain and Abel in the Bible. And in fact, even soldiers, there are things they can't do. We also read in the good book that the Lord refused the man who was after his own heart, the man who was very pleased about, King David. He refused him to build the temple. Why? Because his hands were stained with a lot of human blood. He didn't shed innocent blood. He shed blood in war. With all his achievements and with all the things he could do, there was one thing he was not able to do: to build a temple because of that blood. So be very careful, my dear friends, when you even start dismissing the innocent blood of a person poured, like that of Sergeant Kenei, just because you want to push your agenda forward and the agenda of your favorite political candidate. Let me just leave it at that. So it seems yesterday we were back to August 2017. And therefore what we should expect going forward is a lot of suffering, a lot of frustration, by those who were responsible for the murder of Sergeant Kenei. That is assuming they are not arrested. Oh, Sergeant Kenei was not innocent, I can hear you saying. Oh, he must have been involved in these manenos, and therefore it is not innocent blood. Not correct. Not correct at all. Because no human being is perfect. Every single human being has sinned. And whatever they have done, if you take away their lives, that is innocent blood you're pouring. Now on to the Deputy President's speech at the funeral of Kenei. I personally have quite a number of friends who are staunch supporters of the Deputy President. And I respect some of them very much. And when you respect somebody, you don't tell them lies. You don't tell them only things they want to hear. You tell them the truth. And the truth I want to tell my friends who support the Deputy President, and some of them are members of Club 1999 and my weekly intelligence briefings, and therefore also subscribers to this channel. And so I'm sure they will take in this video. What I want to tell you, my dear friends, is that your man, the Deputy President, has got this whole issue very wrong, this Kenei issue. It was in very bad taste to go to the funeral of Sergeant Kenei and start talking politics, start talking about your political enemies. That was wrong. I am putting myself in the shoes of the Kenei family. If I was a brother to Kenei, I would have been livid. In fact, I would have lost it. After we have lost somebody so tragically, you come to the funeral and you start talking politics, and then you link his murder to politics. That one left a very bitter taste in my mouth, and I'm sure in the mouths of many. Yeah, let's not even discuss Kenei's immediate family. Of course, I get it, you're a politician, Mr. Deputy President, and I know politicians have to do what they have to do. I get that. But what he should have done is that he would have made brief remarks about the late Kenei, and then called another press conference, called the press immediately after, yeah, and then spoken all those things. Well away from the grieving family, well away from the widow who has still not recovered, and who nobody knows when she will recover, and the father too. Bottom line, that was cruel. Secondly, the Deputy President portrayed himself as completely innocent and having nothing whatsoever to do with the unfortunate demise of the late Kenei. Now, there's another huge problem there. Yeah. So far, based on what we know and what investigators have told us, the sergeant was murdered as a result of developments within the office of the Deputy President. It is possible, that members of your family or even your employees within your homestead, within your house, can do evil things. Without your knowledge, you have no idea what happened or even who did it. But still, because it happened within your compound, my friend, you have to tread carefully. Because whatever happens within your homestead, within the fence that is called your house, your home, who is supposed to take responsibility? Your son? Your servant? No way. Not even your dear wife. Yeah? Because that day when you stand in judgment before God Almighty, you are the one who is going to be asked. And I'm afraid you will not be able to say, oh, my son, oh, my wife, oh, my third wife, my second wife, oh, my relative. No. The buck stops solidly at your desk. The buck stops with you. And you will never, ever be able to escape from that responsibility. And so it's not an issue of whether or not he knew. Yeah, it happened in his office, period. Having said that, let us appreciate the fact that the Deputy President has got many political enemies. That is very true. And let us also concede that actually somebody would have set up the Deputy President. That's very possible. Precisely what he's telling us happened. Somebody set him up in order to destroy him, destroy his character, and therefore destroy him politically. That is highly likely, very possible. However, there's a huge problem that has emerged here. How does somebody who has been set up behave? Apart from pleading their innocence repeatedly, what else do they do? Or what are the other characteristics that we normally see in many other cases where people have been set up and it is discovered later that actually it was a setup? It was not them. I will tell you, they are consistent, very consistent in what they say in response to the accusations. Review the statements that the Deputy President has made ever since former CS Rashid Chesa was arrested shortly after leaving his office. Review those statements. When you finish off with the speech he made yesterday in Solai, you will be completely dizzy. Your head will be going round in circles. The same man who said, arrest any officer in my office who is responsible for this fraud, spare nobody, is the same man who told us yesterday that it was a setup. According to me, that is a contradiction. Because if it was a setup, the people in his office fell for a trap. And in fact, the priority of arrests should start from outside his office, not inside his office. Yesterday at the funeral, the Deputy President told us that the late Kenei told him that he allowed HS and company into the offices because they said they have an appointment. He should have made it clear who they had an appointment with. My guess is, most probably, they had an appointment with the owner of the office, the Deputy President. And even if the appointment was not with the Deputy President, and it was with the receptionist, still, there's a procedure of quickly finding out the truth of what this other person has said. You call the person with whom they were supposed to have the appointment with, and they either confirm or deny that there was any such appointment. And indeed, it is very interesting that in the CCTV footage given to us by the DCI, we actually see Kenei on the phone with somebody. And then we also see him handing over the phone to one of the people who was in the group of those who said they had an appointment. Now, I'm not going to tell you what I think. Instead, I'm going to ask you, what would you think in such a situation? You tell me. Wouldn't it cross your mind that maybe they're talking to the person whom they had an appointment with and they missed them? That person was not in the office, or those people were not in the office. I'm thinking that when the phone was passed over to the general said, wewe receptionist, wewe namna gani? Si ulitupatia appointment na huko? Kwani ulisahau? This appointment was very important. We agreed that we come to your office, the reception, so that you introduce us to some people who are very important for us to know. You make an introduction. So when are we going to make this introduction? Na lazima utalipa fine, for bouncing our appointment, for not showing up, for not being there at the appointed time and place, as we had agreed. Something like that. Now, I want to draw your attention to the words of a man called Rashid Echesa. He was interviewed shortly after he was out on bond, after being arraigned in court. Remember what he said? Let me remind you. He said he does not need an appointment to see the Deputy President. What does that mean? It means that he can wake up in the morning and read the newspapers and discover that the Deputy President is in his office, is not out of the country, is not out of town, and he can rush to the Deputy President's office and ask to see him without an appointment. If what Bwana Echesa was saying is true, and indeed there's plenty of evidence in the CCTV to prove that it is true. For example, when his vehicle appeared at the gate man didn't call the office. He just looked into the car, he saluted, and then he quickly opened the gate. And so, if Bwana Echesa's statement is true, then what is really bothering me is that the Deputy President's address yesterday in Solai can never be the truth. Why? Because the most probable thing Sergeant Kenei would have told him, when he interrogated him over the so-called visitors, if such an interrogation took place, the most probable response from the sergeant would have been, such and such a fellow comes here all the time without any appointment, and we usually let him in. Boss, don't you remember the other day he came in? He saw you. He didn't have an appointment. In fact, I don't remember the last time he has come when he has had an appointment. The man just usually walks in. Folks, these are the inconsistencies that are really worrying me. My friends, my dear friends, who are supporters of the Deputy President, and some of you, you know I respect you very much because I've shown you a lot of respect all these years. These inconsistencies from your man are worrying me a lot. And indeed, they should worry every Kenyan. Because from where I stand, and as things stand today, there's a very high likelihood that this man could be our next president. And that is why I'm very worried. I am sincerely worried. I don't hate the deputy president. I don't have anything personal against the deputy president. I am worried. And there's also something else. When shame comes to the office of the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya, shame comes to every Kenyan. Let me give you a quick example. You have a job interview somewhere deep in Europe, and you're seated nervously before this panel, who have to make the decision of whether you're going to get the job or not. And so they start, like many interviews start, tell us something about yourself. Now, of course, you have to tell them where you come from. So you say, my name is Chris Kumekucha, I am from Kenya. And one of the panelists stops you. Kenya? Isn't that the country where some fraudsters walked into the deputy president's office to make a deal? And you're ashamed. And you say yes, with your head bent down. You're not going to tell them, I'm not a supporter of the deputy president. You're not going to tell them, I am not in Team Tanga Tanga. No! You are a Kenyan. You are from Kenya. And therefore you carry the shame of Kenya. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.
What is the late Sergeant Kenei doing with the lift in this portion of CCTV footage? He is directing it to another floor. Why on earth would he want to do that? It was to make it look like he and General Juma went to different floors of the building. Clearly there was something going on here. But the biggest mystery of all. Moments after this lift tampering, both the sergeant and General Juma talked to the same person using the sergeant's phone. The same phone that was later wiped clean. The same phone whose SIM card has never been found. And so we can conclude the following. Number 1. It was very important that those downstairs should not realize that Juma and Kenei went to the second floor together. That is why the empty lift was redirected to another floor. Number 2. It was critical that nobody realizes the identity of the person that both the sergeant and General Juma spoke to. That is why the phone was wiped clean and the SIM card gotten rid of. In the latest weekly intelligence briefings number 31, Chris reveals the identity of the mystery man. Don't dare miss this shell-shocking revelation. If you are not yet a WIB subscriber, you can take advantage of our latest amazing offer. Only $31 for a life subscription to WIB and Club $19.99. Or Kenya shillings 3,100. The minute you subscribe you will receive all 31 sensitive videos you missed in WIB. And all 52 highly sensitive Club 1999 videos from the past. By the way, the latest Club 1999 video has some mind-boggling information on the recent controversial flight from China.